No way!
Oh!
Shirakumo? Hello, we're the Custodians. I'm Rhett.
And I'm Gabe.
And we are going to be watching My Hero Academia Season 5, Episode 19. Now, hold on. I know what you're thinking. Something doesn't feel right. Something's wrong.
No,
Thumbs up.
nothing's what it seems.
And it's all in your head. Nothing happened. Anyways, moving on. No, so our very own, very tall Italian friend Joe has gone back to Iowa for college. Now, because Joe is very tall, he had to leave before us. Something about, logistics and things like that. He was tall, had to go. And so, he's already down there. Now, we mere mortals are staying behind.
Yep.
I, longer than anyone, as I am actually staying in Minnesota for school. I'm going to be doing online classes. So, if any of you watched our Custodians video and saw the top comment, you would know that the second season or second year of the Custodians is going to look a fair amount different than the first year.
Look a little wonky, because I'm also going down there soon, so everyone's going to be apart.
But don't worry, we are putting together a very good system as well as a different kind of, not necessarily upload schedule, but definitely you're going to see some differences. Now, these differences are going to change things a lot, but they're necessary. And also, you're going to see reactions that don't have all of us together more frequently. That's just going to how things are going to have to be for the time being.
And format is going to be changing as any reactions that do involve me, Joe, or Rhett. We will not be, obviously, next to each other. So
yes.
A format change will be made to accommodate for us being online. And that will be interesting to experiment with.
Fun fact, we're not actually next to each other right now.
Nope.
I've been superimposed. I'm in Greenland. Right? And I have been superimposed on top of the footage that Gabe's in, and we are just doing a really good job predicting what the other person's going to say.
Exactly. I try to think of something.
Exactly. Anyways, My Hero Academia Season 5, Episode 19. What happened last time, Gabe?
Okay, so we finally got our good old Todoroki dinner with everybody, and Fuyumi's all like, let's have dinner, because I want dinner. And everybody got to be there, including Midoriya and Bakugou, and it was awkward as fuck. Yeah. We're not quite there yet.
Not quite there.
It's
the
Greenland.
Yeah.
It's Greenland. And they were all really trying to make an effort to, try and make it work, but Natsuo just, even for Fuyumi, he only could be there for so long, and he stayed there for the bare minimum that he could. He was like, thanks for dinner, but I gotta go. And so he headed out, and everybody was cleaning up dinner, and we did get a little bit more about Dabi, Shoto.
Oh, yeah.
Toya.
Please,
Dabi.
for the time being,
sorry.
refer to him as his actual confirmed name and not for the name that is basically confirmed.
Okay. We got more information about Toya.
Not yet.
Through Fuyumi and Shoto telling Midoriya and Bakugou about what happened in more detail. And we also know that there's a shrine dedicated to him in the house. And we do know that his death took place before, or what was it, before? No, it was after Todoroki started training. Shoto tried.
Oh, yeah, yep.
Yeah, so we do have somewhat of a
and we already knew that. We already knew that.
Yeah, but it kind of gives us a more concrete timetable.
Yes.
Still are unaware of what exactly the circumstances were that caused this, but we have our theories, and we're never wrong, so we're obviously correct.
Correct.
So, as Natsuo had left, we saw this guy at the end of, not the last episode, the one before that, who was like black and white and stuff, and appeared as this minor villain or so named Ending, who
minor
was
villain is kind of giving him a little too much credit.
true. He did use
Super sub-minor.
he did use traffic paint. It was such a weird quirk. I literally looked it up to see if that was really what the quirk was.
He's an SSM.
That's
Super sub-minor.
That's literally what the quirk is. It is just traffic paint.
Not any other kind of paint. Just
Just
traffic paint.
specifically white traffic
Now,
paint.
in his defense, there's a lot of fucking white traffic paint.
there is. Yeah.
It's just really specific.
It is so specific.
And if he gets on a dirt road, he's fucked.
Exactly. So
You put him in Oklahoma, no chance of success. He might as well be quirkless.
Exactly. The Midwest,
Gone.
nothing.
Yeah, basically doesn't exist.
Exactly.
He's ending.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he was obsessed with Endeavor and he wanted Endeavor to kill him. And so he kidnapped Natsuo to try and coerce him to doing so. But guess who was there? Also, he was on Trigger. But guess who was there?
There we go.
Midoriya, Bakugou, and Shoto were there as well. Bakugou was able to save Natsuo. They all were using their abilities. So Bakugou was able to get in there, condensed his explosion, and saved him. Shoto came in there and did his like mini prominence burn, which is pretty cool.
Was it a flash fire freeze, something like that?
No, because it was fire.
Well, like the flash. No. What is it? It's
He hit him with fire. No, was
What's
it
his
ice?
super move's name? His super move. It's flash fire heat wave or something like that.
It wasn't prominence burn or
Flash
fire
freeze heat
fist.
wave, I think is its name.
It wasn't a flash fire fist, but it's he's getting there. And then Midoriya surprised us all with, guys, a week of Black Whip, and rescued
cars around.
Rescued 3 cars. So it's interesting that it's not quite like a tethered like someone like Spider-Man or Sero have, where it's just a straight line.
It's almost like
it's like
Venom.
tentacles. Oh yeah, how he
goop it around and it's
in
not
the
necessarily
comics,
a straight line form.
In comics, he shot it from the. It was like Spider-Man.
Well, yeah, he had a web,
but in the movie,
that's kind of been, and not necessarily retconned, but Venom has grown significantly.
Well, yeah,
since
but
if
we're gonna go like space like off the movie, it's like his entire arm is just but it's more than that. It's literally tentacles, so they don't just. They're very, very maneuverable.
It's like a Spider-Man tethered ability, but he's not limited to how many he can really shoot off at one time.
Because we saw him grab them, and then
he can also control how they
descend. Yeah, because they
descend.
descended downwards, and he set them on the ground.
I'm still gonna keep those points though.
You got the points.
I know.
No one is arguing against.
Keep those points.
Well, now that I think about it.
Anyways, moving on.
And so they were able to defeat Ending. I actually was rewatching the scene, and I loved the dialogue when he was like, Todoroki, did you get the guy? And he was like, yeah. And then he goes, Midoriya, did you get the
mob?
The mob. And he's like, do you mean
the
people that were in the cars? And
If
almost
so,
killed the
yes.
guys? And yeah. I thought it was hilarious. Good dialogue. And then afterwards, Endeavor was all like, Natsuo. And hugged Natsuo, but also got Bakugou in there too.
He's like, yo, if I was worried that if I had, killed him, you wouldn't be able to,
It was sad, though, because Natsuo was still like...
And, that makes sense. I'm sure he does feel, inside, thankful for what Endeavor did, but it's not gonna...
enough.
You can't change something like that in one day.
Yeah.
It's... we look at Last Airbender, which is my favorite show ever. It took so long for Zuko to fully change, even when he really thought
it took a while for Katara to trust Zuko.
No, yeah, absolutely.
After everything that he had done.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Even though he was trying so hard to he was the last person to trust him.
Flip.
Exactly. Aang, Sokka, and Toph. Everybody was like, yeah, we trust him.
Well, because Toph was the first one to trust him because she wasn't in season 1, where Zuko was the primary antagonist.
Mm-hmm. Or season 2.
Well, in season 2, it was more we had.
Yeah, but he still did wrong.
He still did wrong, but he rarely ever got to see the gang. Yeah, he saw them in Crossroads of Destiny.
Yeah, but it was just the whole Iroh thing. It was just betraying Iroh for Azula that was the big one. Even when he changed.
Oh, you mean Katara?
Yeah. And then helped him Or help Azula
Yeah,
get angry.
but my point being is that even when in season 2, when Zuko seemed as if he was, like a changed person, that, there was still so much that was, tied to everything that was prior. He fell back on that. And while it's not necessarily a one-to-one, it shows, it's a good example of how, things can't just change easily.
Yeah.
So these feelings that he's had, these justified, feelings for his father that he's had for a decade or more, you can't just flip that. Like, Fiyumi feels the same way. She just feels, her feelings of wanting to have her family back are just stronger.
Yeah, exactly. It is really sad though, seeing Endeavor try so hard and not so.
And that culminates to his ultimate conclusion, where he's like,
the only way for you
guys to be happy is if I'm not in the picture.
Yeah.
I have to. I'm gonna stay here in my mansion. That's like a super like classical, Japanese traditional Japanese mansion, in the middle of a city. Like, I'll stay here. I'll buy you guys another thing. That's a spider. All right. So.
I think that's.
So, one more thing before we get started.
That's everything.
We were told that something about this episode had something relevant to My Hero Vigilante. Or Vigilantes.
Yeah, that's right.
Now, because I thought this episode was supposed to be last week, I sped read.
He did.
Basically, I think from volume 2 all the way to volume 9.
It was.
I'm currently reading volume 10. I'm not very far into it though. But so I'm gonna be on the lookout. Obviously, I don't know if it's gonna be minor or major. What we're looking for.
I threw it in my mouth.
Threw it in my mouth.
Sorry, keep going.
It's if I were a betting man, it might have to do with a certain villain and their really, really powerful quirk. Not all for one. Like a really powerful quirk. I'm not gonna
I have no fucking clue what he's talking
tell
about.
him because whether he reads it or there's an anime adaptation, I don't want to spoil Vigilantes too much. Or it's gonna deal with, and if you've read Vigilantes, you know which villain I'm talking about. He's got a quirk, really powerful. We don't see him.
Like tier list. Where is he on the tier list?
At minimum A.
Minimum A.
Minimum A.
What's potential look like? What's his quirk potential?
Quirk potential, double S.
Are you shitting me? What the fuck? Why am I not reading Vigilantes? Yo, just... Wow.
Especially because it is a standard, like, really powerful quirk, like, just from the face value.
Does he just make it really good?
No, it's face value really powerful, but...
And he makes it better.
Not necessarily he makes it amazing, but there's another character who either had that quirk or had a very similar quirk, I'm not going to specify, and he just knows the style of that quirk very, very well, and he's like, oh, you can do this and that with it. We have to watch out. He can do this and that with this. We got to watch out for this. Or, because this and that and this, and that, we know that we can counter him because this would counter that and that and that and this. It's a really, really good quirk. But it's either that, or it's going to have to do with the Aizawa backstory, where we see Aizawa in UA.
Oh yeah, I did see those panels with Aizawa and President Mike in class together and stuff. That was pretty good. I don't know too much about Vigilantes.
Or maybe it's further in than... Oh, it could have to do with that quirk. You know...
Oh, come on. What?
A B quirk.
What?
That one. Could have to do with that one. I doubt it.
I don't get it.
Of course you would. But yeah, so that's with that. So I think.
So wait, when the scene.
18 minutes. Do I need glasses?
No, let's just start the episode.
Yeah, start the episode.
Yeah.
So yeah, this is My Hero Academia, season 5, episode 19.
You have it.
And before we get started, please like, comment, subscribe. Follow us on Twitter and on Twitch. We actually did stream on Twitch.
We did. It was awesome.
It was really fun. We read a bunch of really, really awful CBR articles about
Oh my
Hero
god,
Academia.
they were so bad and wrong.
Yeah, you know what they did? They went
Too far.
Too far,
Too
man.
far.
Greenland. Nice.
How did we do that?
She's superimposed. I had a clap sound effect. So you weren't even there for that one. Yeah, I digitally recreated you.
Yep. Okay.
Okay. But yeah, so follow us there. Our links will be in the description. And let's get started.
Are we streaming tomorrow? I just want to know because if we're streaming, I feel like now's a good. We'll figure it out.
Yeah. Just follow us on Twitch.
Yeah.
And you'll know the answer.
Yeah.
By 6 p.m. on Sunday.
Yeah.
Central Standard Time.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, let's get started. Ready?
Let's do it.
My Hero Academia.
Deku City. Fuck.
Whoa, it's alright, everybody, now we're here. In the comments, which two custodians would you like to see doing a reaction with each other on the down low? Like just the two of them. What's your favorite custodians pairing?
What's the
Mine
combo?
is Chet and Leah.
Yeah, that's a combo right there.
Just Chet with Leah, like somewhere.
Yep. I'll just off screen.
Yeah, that's a power couple, right?
I swear if we don't get something on Deku City, I'm gonna stop watching this show. It's been
right?
3 fucking weeks. Bruh.
I need to get this. Like, I need to get this on
long.
a shirt. Like, what the fuck happened?
What happened in Deku City? Please.
I'll take just a name drop.
When was the Deku City thing? Was that a month ago?
Oh, wait, hold on.
4 weeks? No, seriously though, wasn't it like 3-4 weeks? It was like 4 weeks ago.
Technically, World's Heroes mission, I think, has happened by this point.
Really?
Yeah, because remember, they're with Endeavor in the trailers.
Is that there though?
Yo!
God
damn! He's got... I wonder how many people have died from quirk-related sexual problems.
What?
Oh, that's the little keychain that Midoriya gave her on Christmas. Not necessarily directly gave it to her. Ooh, damn.
Jesus. Whoa.
Remember, CBR called this murderous intent.
Yep. This is true.
Bruh.
She's too excited.
That
She's a danger.
Suki? Yeah!
Oh.
What do you... Yeah, you better fucking acknowledge him.
Deku City.
Jesus.
Never seen President Mike like that.
No. What the hell?
It has to be Deku City.
What?
No moves.
Wait a minute.
Is this where the high-end Nomu is?
Hey, Gran Torino. Maybe?
They're not at Tartarus, are they?
Well, I thought... Didn't they kill High End?
No.
And they said they fought at USJ.
No, I meant the USJ Nomu,
Oh.
not the high-end Nomu. I'm sorry, I meant USJ.
Then why bring Present Mike? No! It's Kurogiri!
No way.
No!
Are they
No! No way!
No way! Oh! Shirakumo? What? Holy shit!
Shirakumo was like Aizawa's.
They
Lemillion.
mentioned him. They mentioned him
Yeah,
briefly.
I watched him die in Vigilante.
Long story short,
I
you
saw
watched
him get
die.
crushed.
Was his quirk the
It's
same?
why I wasn't really expecting a Shirakumo thing.
Was his quirk the same?
His quirk was that he could create clouds or manipulate clouds. Yeah, a giant frog villain attacked.
Oh my fucking god.
Jesus. That's some Ra's al Ghul shit.
Oh my god.
Holy fuck.
Was he the original Nobu? Oh, wow.
Bro, I wish Joe was here for this.
Joe picked a...
Mostly because I just don't want him to be Shirakumo'd, man. Can you imagine?
Oh my god,
Can you
yes.
imagine if one of us died and then 20 years later we found out that a mass murderer was puppeteering his body and we didn't even know it? Oh my god. And now they have to talk to him. Yep. Yeah, no, Shirakumo died. That's no matter what this is, that's the story. That's fucked. Yeah, the cat. Mm-hmm. Fuck, and Midnight doesn't know either. Shirakumo is a huge, reason why Aizawa is who he is today. Like, without Shirakumo, Aizawa probably would have just become a bounty hunter.
Oh my gosh.
Mm-hmm. So these are people he expelled.
That said A2.
2A, yeah, so that's the second year of the Heroes course. Wow, okay, so
he doesn't completely expel
yeah,
them.
it's still on
He
the record, but
suspends them for a lot longer than suspensions last.
I mean, but
Because expulsion means indefinitely. Whoa. Holy shit.
god damn.
Come on, get out of there. Bro, shut the fuck up right now.
No, they're trying to use his moment of...
Aizawa's not gonna listen.
Bro.
Oh my god. He is in there.
hospital?
Whoa.
Yeah, that was fucked.
Is that the government? That's the government lady.
Ooh.
Whoa.
So that must have been just kind of like a coded message.
What's at the hospital?
What was that?
He wasn't giving him more quirks or all for one, or what was? Are they like turning?
Bro. I know I ain't one to say it, but it's too fucking early. It's too early for this. Oh my god.
Wow.
Jesus
They laid it on heavy.
There's so much to talk about. I have no
can
idea where to
imagine
start.
for you, it's a lot heavier because you just finished Vigilantes and you know the story between those three and how they came up.
No, like legit. Like Shirakumo was Aizawa's Mirio. Like he was Amajiki, and Shirakumo was his Mirio.
Did we get something? No.
Damn it, no. Shit. And like so. At first, while I was reading that arc, I was like, oh, maybe this thing will have something to do with Shirakumo. But then he died, and I was like, well, okay, maybe not directly, but like, I feel less like it's gonna be about Shirakumo. Like maybe more about like his memory or something like that.
So, I'm having a hard time believing that there's still a physical body in there. So what the hell did Eraserhead and President Mike see? What did they see in there? They saw something. They saw his fucking face.
Maybe it was more of just kind of like, I want to say quite like mirage, but like there was something that like could trick the eye. It was.
I don't. That's a stretch.
For some reason, even when a Eraser applies his quirk, the mist doesn't
go away.
Dissipate.
How is that possible?
Well, we know that
because like if Aizawa uses his quirk against like Ojiro or
Ojiro's the tail maker.
Ojiro, he has no use of his tail anymore. He can't use it.
He
right?
can't use his tail. His tail's still obviously there, but he can't use it.
Well, maybe it's like that. Maybe it's like, oh, you can't control that mist on your body, but it's still there.
He seemed very much like he was able to control it.
When he was spazzing out? I don't think he had control over that.
Oh, okay. So like
That was Shirakumo trying to break out. That was Shirakumo and Kurogiri fighting.
I don't even know. Like
It's like they have a
because Shirakumo's dead. He's
they didn't find a body, right?
dead. They did.
They did find
As
a
we
body.
saw in this, they found the body.
That's right. They said they turned him into a Nomu when he was in cremation.
Well, they must have switched the bodies or something. So,
Why were they so interested in him though?
because he was a UA student, you know,
He could make clouds. Is
no,
that?
he could like, but think of like, you know how Goku has the flying Nimbus?
Yeah.
He could do that. He could like ride on clouds. He could, use them as cover, like a smoke screen. He could. I'm pretty sure he could even like stop rubble like with it to a certain degree, because he stops like a bunch of like daycare kids from getting crushed. I think.
So
Because Aizawa and him were like kind of doing a daycare. They
was
weren't,
it like
they were,
normal color?
well, it's black and white. It's manga. I mean, it's on panel. It seemed white. I think there were a few color spreads, but I can't. I know his hair was blue, like what you saw. It seems a lot shorter.
So does he not have that quirk anymore?
Or maybe All For One gave him another quirk that combined, like a teleportation quirk that combined with his cloud quirk. So he creates, like, that's why the portals are so kind of...
Maybe that's why his body is like that. It's just a perpetual cloud.
Wait a minute. Hold on. So, when One For All passes down, it leaves a bit of the previous holder inside of it.
Yeah.
Enough to where it, over time, it gained its own consciousness, each individual one. Is that just for All For One? Or excuse me, One For All?
Or is it All For One?
Is it any quirk? Because if All For One is giving people quirks,
He would have
there would be
hundreds,
he would have
thousands of
not,
connections. With
and
people.
I'm not just talking about him, but that
He
is
would also
true.
have the connection with.
I'm
One For
talking
All.
about like the people who he gives quirks.
Yeah.
Wouldn't the original quirk holder have a piece of themselves in there?
Yeah.
So
Like
if
he's connected.
Shirakumo is dead, so long as his like quirk is in there and he's been reanimated, could they have been almost tapping into that subconscious almost personality now?
Maybe. And I think that could help with the whole Midoriya is the U.A Traitor theory. Because if they're able to figure that out, and then they find out who the U.A Traitor, and they're like, oh, Midoriya is the U.A Traitor, they may be able to eventually put two and two together and go, wait, no. All For One has a bit of himself in every single person that he's ever given a quirk to.
And well, considering that
One
it was
For
his
All.
original one of his quirks that he gave to his younger brother, which combined to form All For One. There
Was the stop
technically
pattern,
there
right?
probably should be an All For One in there somewhere.
If he was the original if the whole concept that is if you are the original holder of the quirk that you're giving, then yeah. But we know he was the original holder.
Well, half of the original holder technically. The
Doesn't-
original holder was
Even if you keep cutting it in half, there's always gonna be a bit of him in there. It doesn't matter how.
which maybe
small.
explains why he doesn't like show up necessarily as a vestige, because
He would be so far back.
or not just how far back, but like he didn't give he never had the true one for all, which may be the kind of, evidence against my theory.
But then it just goes back to him going, "Oh, Midoriya used his quirk."
Yeah. Now, was that because he has scan? Probably not, because they said that if they monitor his brainwaves, so if he ever even thinks about activating a quirk,
he dies.
He gets shot. So
that
it must be his connection there. But we still don't have necessarily evidence if that is just because those two quirks are intrinsically tied and are kind of special, or if that's every quirk. If it is every quirk, can you imagine how many?
What could he do?
How many vestiges are inside of All for One?
Hundreds.
Now he doesn't pass his along building up its strength,
He
so
passes
they wouldn't be manifested like they are in One for All.
They're passed down.
Yeah, having it's almost like Father from Full Metal Alchemist, where he is a Philosopher's Stone, and Philosopher's Stones are created. Spoiler alert for Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood, which is an amazing show. You should go watch it. Philosopher's Stones are created from the sacrifices of humans, and their souls are turned into energy. And
isn't it 1,000 souls for every Philosopher's Stone?
No, you can use a single soul to create a Philosopher's Stone. It just won't last long.
Okay.
Yeah, because it's like a super battery. His was 500,000.
Okay.
Souls split between. I think there was 1 million people. I think in Xerxes, and Hohenheim got half, and Father got half. But
what could he do though? Could he only? He wouldn't be able to control them, would he?
People who he's giving quirks to.
Yeah. What does it mean? He's able to do that thing, and if it is true that he is a part of everybody, what does that do for him? What can he do with that?
Well, not too much, considering that the reason why the vestiges are so active inside of One for All is because they've been built up, with every time they're passed down and they're strengthened, they kind of that's the reason why I think they've only kind of gained true kind of sentience through this generation. This was the singularity.
Yeah.
This was the culmination event. Which is why All Might kind of had ghost visions in his early years, from what he said, but he never he could have been lying so far as we know, but if he's telling the truth, he never had these kinds of conversations with pass holders. So he can't probably do much besides maybe almost deja vu kind of intuition style feelings, I kind of have a craving for chocolate and I don't necessarily know why. It's maybe a quirk vestige had a insatiable sweet tooth, and it's just kind of rising to the top. My point being is that Shirakumo can still be dead, and maybe there could still technically be an actual part of Shirakumo in there that's Shirakumo. It just won't be enough. It's not going to be
it's not going to be the same.
It's not going to be the first holder who can flat out talk to him. This also confirms that Kurogiri's a Nomu.
No, Gran Torino said that he was called Nomu. Go back to when they're going down the hallway. He talks about how he was known as Nomu when he got cremated.
What?
Gran Torino. Go back to when Gran Torino.
They're about to get there. And damn it, I shouldn't have ended the capture immediately before we went back.
It's a shame we don't have any, McGann, Miss Martian telepaths. Although I don't even know if they could really read his mind. Like, is there
If
a
he is
mind?
engineered to only...
Yeah. Quirk Grove, yeah. His hero name was Loud Cloud.
Was he loud?
Decent volume, I guess.
No, I'll go past this.
Yeah. Bro, and like Midnight doesn't even know. They were also friends with Midnight, who was a third year when they were a second.
Died while doing her work studies.
I probably, yeah.
Three Domingos.
So, what did you say they said?
Gran Torino had said something like that they called him Nomu. Like, I thought he had said that. Like, Kurogiri was the first Nomu. And so they had called him Nomu.
I doubt he was, like,
First script.
yeah, if anybody dies in UA, might as well grab him.
And turned him into a mad playing thing called Nomu.
Well, yeah, that's what they all call them.
I'm saying he was. I thought they were referring to him as like they turned him into a thing called Nomu.
I don't
Like,
think
he was
he's
the
referring
first
to that.
Nomu.
I don't think that's what they're referring to. I think it's just, they turned him into like Nomu, but like it's
He would have said a Nomu though, but he's saying they turned him into a thing called Nomu, not a Nomu, just Nomu.
I don't know.
The way they're wording it makes
They
it
don't
seem
have.
like
They don't
he
have.
was the
They wouldn't have the
first.
evidence for that claim.
I get it, but it's the way he's wording it makes it sound like Kurogiri was the first Nomu.
Yeah, I don't.
And
I don't
I
think,
could be reading
I
it.
don't think he is. But I think it's important just the fact that he is a Nomu. So it was astounding when we had High End come in with intelligence. Now, you could say that what Kurogiri doesn't necessarily have what you would consider like intelligence, more of just like highly detailed programming, where it's like he's
I can
he's like a
perform
robot,
all of these functions, but I still don't have any free will to myself.
but he's able to like question Todoroki, Shigaraki, not necessarily like question him and it's like we should do something else, but more of like, are you sure this is wise? He has, I mean, hell, he has enough capacity to trash talk in battle, where he was like, you're talking to 13.
Well, he's not just like, oh, I just go wherever Shigaraki goes. He's his handler. So he's supposed to reel him in, keep him on a leash, keep him under control.
So he has to have some level of intelligence.
Or some level of free will.
Cognitive
He can't.
awareness.
It's not just, oh, you do whatever he says.
Yeah.
Because if he doesn't agree with him, he can talk back
So
and disagree.
a Nomu with this level of intelligence, though. Now,
it is. There are multiple quirks coming into this, but they were combined to kind of make just one quirk.
Did we already know that Nomus technically were? Did we?
We knew that they were people.
No, but did we know that they were dead?
Yes.
Okay.
Well,
Because they said that Nomus they're dead.
like they're built off of human,
Lives. They are not alive. They are not living things. They are dead.
which is why Endeavor. One of the reasons I'm pretty sure why Endeavor had no problem
Just cremating.
yeah. But with how old Kurogiri is, he might have just been a special case, or they may have put like a lot of extra elbow grease into it, considering he was Shigaraki's handler. But a Nomu with this level of,
Not to mention the quirk that they gave him. He's like,
well, they kind of created for him.
yeah, but with a quirk like that, they want him to be able to know how to use it properly, especially if he's taking care of Shigaraki.
And having a Nomu with that level of intelligence or like free cognitive thought,
It's a problem.
it's spooky, especially considering how long we've had a Nomu with that ability. Like, is it because the other Nomus say were like maybe stronger in terms of like, I guess, their combat ability, or they had more quirks? Because technically he has a bunch of quirks, but they were kind of combined into one, almost like they skipped a bunch of like quirk marriage, like children, and they just skipped a bunch of that and gave him like a evolutionary quirk.
It comes back. It always comes back with Nomu talk about like, oh my god, what if they're able to get a USJ Nomu with high-end cognitive function or programming to the length that Kurogiri has? Because if you have something like that, especially now with the power difference that was between All Might and Endeavor, Endeavor would not have been able to defeat the USJ Nomu. I don't think so. Because even All Might didn't technically beat the Nomu. He just,
in Endeavor's defense, that Nomu was built specifically to fight All
yes,
Might, and Endeavor's Hellfire has been shown to hard counter the Nomu style regeneration.
so you think Endeavor could have beaten the
I'm not necessarily saying he could beat it, but he definitely has.
I find it hard to believe that
he has avenues for success for sure.
My thing is, I find it hard to believe that Endeavor would be able to take one of the punches. But
I
digress.
High End tossed him through a bunch of buildings. And
I
stuff
don't think High End is as like physically strong as the USJ one was.
I'd agree.
But because the power difference that was between All Might and Endeavor, if you have something like that come out again, Endeavor's not going to be strong enough to stop it.
If it's an exact copy of USJ Nomu, if he has Kurogiri level intelligence, that's a big problem.
No, yeah,
but,
that's what I'm
Endeavor
talking about.
can fly and then
that's what I'm talking
range
about.
attack him.
If they create something like that to the level of what they did for All Might, but also were able to scale it up to fight something like All Might, but they just made it for Endeavor. So you got something that you have a guy that's here. You create something to fight a guy that's here. He's gone now. You have a guy that's where he was in first place, but is here. And they go, okay, why would we drop all the way down here when we've made something that's up here? Let's just make something that's at this level for this guy.
Now, to be fair, Juggernaut, like All Might versus USJ is like Hulk versus Juggernaut, where they're both just gonna
hit each other.
Way at each other. But Juggernaut versus Doctor Strange is an entirely different kind of fight, where it's sure Doctor Strange doesn't approach Hulk's strength.
I'm not saying literally USJ Nomu versus Endeavor. I'm saying
a USJ.
I'm saying a USJ level Nomu that is made for Endeavor. Because if they are able to create something at this level for someone that's able to match and or exceed the power of All Might, and Endeavor is nowhere even close to All Might's level, why would they? If they wanted to get rid of Endeavor, why would they sink all the way down to Endeavor's level to try and kill him? When they've created something that's strong, they can create something that's that strong and tailor it to Endeavor.
Now, according to the show, High End is
Meant for another?
more powerful than
The USJ. Okay.
Now, that could just be because he had more quirks and he had
Because he had like
brain
what,
power.
7 quirks?
He had like stretchy body
We
regeneration.
did this on stream when we were
Yeah.
doing the tier list.
Tier list.
He had like 7 different quirks.
So he's a Nomu.
What did he say about the hospital?
Yeah, he got
said
one word
hospital.
out, hospital. And then it seemed like Hawks kind of knew what was up.
Because he was with the league, got a phone call that said,
And because
hey, we need you to
because his
help.
calls and shit are being monitored, they had to kind of be like, the Hero Commission had to like sneak the intel to him.
Because
It's like,
they
there's
were-
a
they-
criminal at a hospital, and he's like, okay, hospital. So there must be like some kind of like the third word is the key word or something like that, kind of.
His lab isn't beneath a hospital, is it?
Honestly, that would kind of make perfect sense.
Patients, dead patients in a morgue, just drop
Drop
them
them in
off.
there, and it would allow him to maintain a cover. Like if this scientist, this doctor, is, because he does look a lot like the doctor that Midoriya was taken to. Now, this could be a coincidence, but would it not make sense that if he's just regular Doctor
If he's
Man,
like regular doctor by day, all for one for all, or all for one, Nomu creative professor at night.
Like,
Just
there's got to be a lot
goes
of money, a lot of possible research stuff you can get done if you're backed by All for One. So, you take these cadavers. No one's gonna blink. When oh, is that the cadaver's ash, or is that other, like, no one's gonna blink when a cremated body goes missing. So that's a perfect kind of way to get their Nomus. While also maintaining, like, what's suspicious about a doctor that sees kids. I'm sure in the daytime he's a very family friendly physician. He's but
Speaking of the doctor, I feel like we should talk about that ending scene.
yeah. So
I feel like
he
it's
says the masterpiece All for One and I sought.
I think it's safe to assume that is the idea of passing All for One in its entirety to someone else.
And while I kind of agree with that, I'm going to play devil's advocate and say that the point of the Nomus in the long run was to find the perfect way to give multiple, highly complementary, highly powerful quirks to one individual without losing any cognitive function.
Well, you had someone like Nine. Who maintained his cognitive function, but his body wasn't able to handle all nine. It was built to hold them, but it wasn't built to withstand them, which is the reason why he needed the healing quirk.
Well,
So,
the cell activation.
yeah. So, did they finally do it?
Like,
Was Daika City in the future, and this is before this scene right
no,
here
this
before
is
Daika City?
this is concurrent because this happens immediately after Hawks gets his phone call.
Okay.
So that's right now. Daika City is in the past because Daika City happens. Because remember, what was it? What was like 2 weeks ago? After it was like either during or before the joint training was Daika.
So
Because we had a time.
So Daika was a test run,
I don't think so.
but they're still experimenting on him.
They're experimenting. Hold on.
He had like wires in his back. He had a massive tube in his stomach.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Jesus Christ. going into his spine,
His head?
his head.
That is so fucked up.
Hold on, let's see if I can get good.
Because 9 was a big success.
Yes, and he also had the ability to take quirks. So he has. It looked like he had white, like the white hair that we saw.
It's white. It's white.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jesus, look at that. Just
It's just shoved in there. Oh my god.
now there is the possibility that that tube could be life support because of after Daika City.
That's not how life support works. You don't just.
Yeah.
I support your life.
So,
They're definitely doing something to him. I don't think this was happening.
maybe they're training his body to be able to withstand. Like, maybe they're within the beginning phases of what they did for 9.
Because 9 looked like a
He was in a tube.
like Captain America First Avenger style Veda Ray chamber.
Yeah, he was in a testing
Nitrates.
tube. So maybe they're
Maybe this is the
Unless-
equivalent to the penicillin injection before he gets.
or maybe this is how they transfer quirks without All for One there.
Maybe, because with All for One, it's a nice, easy.
Yeah. I can't imagine it's
Because Toga also said that in 4 months, Shigaraki would destroy Japan. Or she might not have said destroyed, but like she said, it all comes to an end, boom, or something like that, by Tomura. And we said there was, she could, by Tomura's power or something like that. And we were like, well, does she mean Tomura's power, like, because he's the leader, and maybe he's the leader of now both Love and MILF, and MILF has 100,000 soldiers, so it's kind of like his power as in his resources,
Yeah.
or just his
actual power.
Is that just a weird shadow?
No,
or
that's
is
his
that...
arm. That's his arm.
Well, I know that's his arm, but
That's blood, I'm pretty sure.
is that scarring or blood?
I
Or
thought
like,
it was blood. Pretty sure that's blood.
yeah, it's just. So we have. The good news is that we have now a little bit of information. Hospital. So now, while that sounds absolutely ludicrous, just to go on, like, investigate every hospital in Japan, there has to be ways you can narrow it down. Like, if they're, within.
Well, first off, figure out where Tomura or Shirakumo was cremated. And then from there, you could probably feel like, okay, which
Yeah,
hospitals are nearest to that? Maybe we can try and look there first.
Or where was his body sent for initial, inspection?
What morgue was he put into?
Exactly. So you could.
What doctor
What
examined
hospital
his-
sends? What hospital? Which hospitals go to this morgue?
Which doctor examined his body? Who was sending him to be cremated?
Yeah. You could, there's a trail now.
Who was there when it happened?
With Shirakumo and hospital. Because we know that Love MILF isn't at a hospital. They're at like a.
They're at like a fucking woodland, Minecraft woodland mansion.
Yeah, exactly. So, which, honestly, like it kind of just like with the fucking Camino Ward stuff. Like they didn't have the Nomu factory at the League hideout. Like they were
was
two separate
separate.
places. So, I mean, it's kind of the smart thing to do. If one operation gets busted, you don't immediately lose both. And also, I guess it makes sense because is the Minecraft Woodland Mansion owned by Love or MILF?
I
it's
MILF.
probably MILF. And this, this is the doctor's place, which is probably, logically, then it is to say that this is a love-owned operation. We also saw Hawks with Twice. It
looked like they were at the mansion. Mm-hmm. It looked like they were at the mansion.
And if I remember correctly, he said that like the book was like confusing or something, and he wanted help with it. Mm-hmm. So I guess that'd be kind of interesting to see, like, dialogue between
like Hawks interacting with the League,
or the League, yeah, but almost more specifically Twice, because I almost feel like
we do get to see the thing about how we see Twice make more Twices in the intro. And I don't think that's just, oh guys, look what his quirk can do. It's
we also
look what he can
hypothesized that
potentially do with his quirk.
It could be more of an introspective kind of thing where it's like, this is how he views himself as just like a
split.
Yeah, it's just like another
copy.
Or fuck, an army of 100,000. It could just be Twice.
It could literally just be Twice. Wouldn't be a very strong army. But
what if they were all Twice clones, but they like lobotomized them, so they were just mindless drone soldiers?
Yeah, but if they get weaker with every clone that's made,
they don't necessarily get. Well, remember,
I'm saying
durable.
Weaker in constitution.
Yeah.
That's what I mean. Then it's just like you get to Twice clone number 100,000, and you're just like, and they just exactly so.
Just like a freaking shadow clone, just
exactly. But this really freaks me the fuck out.
So let's say,
because it's like, are they preparing him for it? Are they transferring it now? Is he getting All for One?
I think, okay, why 4 months? Why specifically 4 months? Why is Love MILF waiting 4 months?
Make sure everything's perfect.
Make sure everything's perfect.
Getting everything ready with Trigger, getting everything ready with the support items from
I don't think they have Trigger. That was the movie people that had Trigger.
Oh, is it the movie people?
They may have Trigger, but I don't think we've ever seen them use Trigger. But do you start the football game without your star quarterback ready to go?
No.
So maybe the reason why they're waiting 4 months is because that's how long
they want Shigaraki to be ready.
Maybe that's how long this procedure is going to take, or the procedure is going to take.
Is
preparation
Love
procedure
that long, or
recovery.
Is MILF waiting that long? Who's in charge here? Is it Shigaraki or is it MILF? We still don't know who's working with who. We don't know the relationship.
At the head table, it looked mostly to be Love members. Like Gru was there.
Yeah.
But I don't think we. Maybe we did. It's been a while, but I don't think we saw anybody else but Gru at the big table.
But still, just because more people from Love are there, does that mean that Shigaraki's in charge, or does that mean that Gru's in charge? Because it feels like Love went to MILF
rather than MILF went to Love.
MILF went to Love.
Which would make sense because the resource disparity is probably significantly in favor to MILF.
Maybe. Probably.
To be fair, we don't know. Like
we don't know. We don't know what support Love is getting from the Doctor and what the Doctor is getting from All for One.
Yeah. Well, he's getting nothing from All for One right now. At least. In case of my capture, I have a handful of, confidants that will,
require, give you whatever you need.
Yes. Yeah.
So
long-standing, Swiss bank accounts with, infinite, money that I've made, untraceable funds.
Exactly.
But that could be the case. But he's not getting direct help from All for One, at least like he used to.
Because I'm trying to think, is the League of Villains waiting 4 months, or is MILF waiting 4 months?
It seems that they both are, because that's what one, that's A, what Toga said, and B, that's the information that Hawks has been able to get. Like it's not like he ever specified like initial attack in 4 months, or like the League will strike in 4 months. It was just, now that could just be due to the limitations of how he has to convey his information. He can't be direct.
Maybe it's literally just they need 4 months to mobilize everything, excluding Shigaraki.
Because it's what Toga said that's really giving me this kind of feeling. Is because
she's like, in 4 months, Shigaraki will break everything. He'll tear everything down, and it shows Japan highlighting with like red dots or whatever. So I'm thinking that the reason they're waiting is because that's how long it's going to take for this. Let's call it procedure to go down. Whether that's just to be complete or 4 months for preparation, procedure, recovery, or logistics training, stuff like that. The interesting thing though is that if Shigaraki does get multiple quirks, he's now in the exact same position as Midoriya, who they have their initial power, which they are pretty darn good with.
But they still haven't.
They have a lot of new powers that they now have to kind of learn and maybe kind of awkward.
But the thing is Shigaraki is going to be able to have more. If he may not start out with as many, but he'll always have. He has more spell slots than Midoriya does.
The good news is that we don't necessarily know if he's built genetically for the quirk. So we don't know if he can just have infinite
maybe that's
sheer
what this
level
is.
of.
Maybe that's what this is. Maybe because if they were able to get it with 9, and maybe even if Shigaraki wasn't genetically built for it,
9 had more possible quirks
yes,
than Midoriya.
but even if Shigaraki is not born genetically fit to be able to withstand it,
he's probably gonna have more than 9.
If anybody would be able to alter Shigaraki's body to be able to hold on to All for One, it's the Doctor. Mm-hmm. And if they're able to do it with 9,
and hell, who knows what his quirk is? It could be some basic doesn't matter kind of quirk, or it could be literally perfect for this kind of thing.
Like fusing
tissue or something
like creating bodies and sculpting shit. So maybe this is literally them preparing his body and altering his body to be able to hold on to the
going into his spine, into his head, into a.
Then there's the tube. I can't stop looking at the fucking tube.
I mean, what's the tube going into?
It would be his small intestine, because the small intestine comes up like this, over and down. Your stomach's in here, so it would be going into the small intestine, or at least the first portion of the small intestine.
It doesn't necessarily look like he's got an IV drip.
It's not. The small intestine is divided into 3 specific areas, and it looks like it's going right here into the small intestine. So, and maybe it's going through his whole body, right into his kidney from his. I don't know. I think what this scene is saying is that they're preparing his body to be able to receive what they would give for All for. Maybe not All for One, but give him multiple quirks, and maybe not to the level of what they did for 9 to start with, because maybe it was different for 9. Maybe his body was built for it immediately, so they were just full steam ahead. We don't have to worry about anything. Let's give him 9 quirks, or let's give him 9 slots to work with.
Or maybe they just didn't care because he was just a test subject.
Yeah.
So they're like, your body's not meant for it, but here's 9 quirks.
Yeah. So maybe with this, they're going, okay,
which I think actually is
not...
the point, because isn't that the reason why 9 is all quirk activation, cell activation, I need it.
So maybe with this, they're like, okay, the difference between Shigaraki and 9 is that 9's body was genetically built for it. Shigaraki's is not. But maybe Shigaraki can have, has shown to have more potency with All for One, or more compatibility with it. So they have to build his body up and prepare it to receive those slots to be able to hold on to All for One.
Another interesting thing to think about is that, considering that the operation is happening, that automatically means that things immediately become more complicated anyways, because if you find the Minecraft Woodland Mansion, you don't necessarily find Shigaraki. Unless, of course, this is in the basement, which I doubt. I think we were actually confirmed it's not. So even if you storm the mansion, you don't get Shigaraki. Now, if they gain knowledge of where Shigaraki is and they do a Kamino 2-front attack, that's dividing their already outnumbered forces. Now, I would also say it's safe to assume that every one pro hero is better than probably one of their 100,000 soldiers.
Yeah.
Probably even to a great degree.
But even then,
100,000.
it's a lot of
It's
people.
an incredible number.
It's a lot of people.
Especially when quirks come into play because of the variety of, like, you could have like 10,000 people with powers that are specifically, suited for boosting other people,
quirks.
creating rough terrain, or like quirks that negate friendly fire. Like, no, you guys can cast fireball as much as you want. You're not going to damage any of us. You're only going to damage the enemy. Like,
and then when you throw really, really powerful support items in there for nearly potentially 100,000 people, and then potentially, because I feel like Trigger is going to be involved somehow, because I don't think I would.
I don't know, because Trigger would immediately, because Trigger, drugs, criminal activity, even no matter how well, you separate yourself, there's some level of trail that can be followed. But if you're like a company, because Detronet, we don't know if Detronet is just owned by MILF or if they're working with MILF, both of which, it's just kind of semantics at that point. But what's there to arrest if you're legally selling support items? Like, you can't arrest somebody for doing something that's legal, that they have a license for. Like,
maybe MILF isn't as disorganized or as dysfunctional as the League of Villains is. Maybe they literally are an organized paramilitary group.
Yeah.
They got their shit down and they're like, no, we don't need drugs.
Because they have a fucking satellite.
Satellites are expensive for anyone who
doesn't know. Putting anything in space,
it's a lot
and,
to do.
The process of it, always being in free fall but never hitting the planet Earth, leaving, and then having, your, being able to play HBO because of it, that's expensive. So, do you think that MILF is Detronet? Do you think Detronet is a singular part? Is
I
this
think Detronet's a part of it.
Is MILF an umbrella company that owns a bunch of
I think
here's the pharmaceutical branch. Here's the support. Here's the support.
It would be
branch.
interesting if it was like that, because it's they use every single one of these different corporations that they own to integrate into their massive.
They're like
army.
an evil oligopoly.
Exactly, they're like Disney.
Yes, they are.
Yeah, they're just Disney.
Disney.
Yes. Don't sue us. But yeah, because it's oh my god, it's they're using Detonate.
I was gonna say, how could Disney sue us? We're not using anything of their material, and I'm like,
if they just,
it's Disney.
Yeah, they'll find a way. I don't have, Yoda. They own Yoda. They're like, hey, you can't have that, sue. But yeah, exactly. So maybe I think it would be cool if it's they used the Detonate company to get all their support items. They used this company to get all of their their supplies and stuff, and they use this company for this, and it's just this massive conglomerate, and it's oh my god, how did
would raise no suspicion, because it's just this company, it's getting...
I think it would be interesting because everyone would be like, oh my god, all of these massive Fortune 500 companies potentially were under the thumb of this one person. How did we not see it? And they all came together, and I feel like it would add a lot more weight to it, because it's what are we supposed to do against all of these companies with all the amount of resources and money that they all have together, and everything that they all bring to the table?
It would also make having a standing 100,000 unit army just ready to go with nobody knowing so much easier. Oh, we're getting together for, work, everybody in the warehouse come together. This is just a work meeting. Obviously, put it on the books, whatever. The camera's right there. And you could deliver messages easy. We're on standby for this week's, new shipment. And it's done. And, because they're following, Destro's teaching. And Destro is, really old. I think that's what Gentle said. But he wrote this book a while ago, and they're either truly devout in following it, or again, just kind of like the League used for Stain. They're using this ideological platform to further their goals with no interest in it truly.
Yeah.
Because it's like, yeah, sure, whatever, Deathstroke, whatever, Despero, yeah. Anyways,
Deathstroke.
$15 an hour. Come on. I wonder what the benefits are for being a MILF soldier.
I would hope that there's a lot, especially with this upcoming thing. It's like, all right, guys, we're going on a trip.
Shit, they might have like political or like law enforcement.
Oh my god!
Like,
if they have people in government, like senators and mayors and politicians, because you can imagine it's not just going to be the hero society and the police fighting MILF and love. The military are going to be getting involved.
Like, what if
the Japanese government is going to be getting involved? Like, national defense is going to be getting involved. Other countries that are looking at Japan going, what the fuck is going on?
There's a full-scale
invasion happening.
uprising happening
like
in your
the
country.
United States at this point is probably gonna be like,
I think All For One could survive a nuclear explosion.
he probably has like a nuclear
Maybe in the
explosion.
kiloton range. Maybe not megaton.
Like no quirk activation of any kind. Like it's just base All For One. I mean, he survived a fucking hurricane.
If he's higher, well, I mean, I guess he could probably survive multiple gigatons.
what is the
Because it's like,
what is the force of an All Might punch? And
well,
this wasn't even prime All Might.
I'm sure you could get him to being able to survive even mid-range nuclear weapons based off of. I would assume he's superior to Gigantomachia, and Gigantomachia is a mountain buster, and that's somewhere in the high megatons, I think, to low gigaton range.
He's a city buster, and he potentially could be a.
And mountains above city.
He could potentially be a crust buster, like where or like.
Well, there's
Not planet buster, but like.
there's island,
Surface
and
buster?
there's different groups in them because there's like small island,
Yeah.
average island, big island, and then there's country, small country, large country, and then continent, and then above continent you get like low tier planet buster where you can destroy all life on the surface of the planet.
I think
Nobody's there in this show. No one's planetary. I mean, at least not yet. Give it a few more generations.
Probably.
Yeah, no one's planetary. But okay. Worst case scenario, like, is Shigaraki getting All For One's quirks that we've seen, or entirely new quirks?
I mean, I can't imagine they're just able to bottle a quirk.
I think they might be able to. Because think about it logistically.
Unless that's
think
what
about it
this
logistically.
literally is.
Think about it logistically. Without even bringing up 9, when would they have been able to give Shigaraki this? Like, when would they have been able to take the quirk from All For One? Because we know All For One
Before he got
had his
captured.
quirk at Kamino.
Yeah.
He's immediately captured at Kamino and sent to Tartarus. And obviously this procedure is happening after that. So,
He must. They made the transfers, or at least like he gave him what he would be giving him now, before he went to Kamino.
and they must have been able to like bottle it.
I mean,
Or-
technically, it's not. I keep on when I think of the majority of the time when you think of like superpowers, it's not like a genetic thing, unless you have like mutants from Marvel, which is like a genetic thing. And with quirks, it is literally a part of your genetics.
Yeah.
So, literally, just being able to get someone's blood, it's like quirk gene is in there.
Yeah.
Unless you have to find,
Like it's a specific gene.
unless the quirk gene is in a specific branch of your DNA. Again, if anybody was able to find that exact spot, get the right amount,
It'd be him.
it's him. God, he's too smart.
Like maybe his quirk is like a stem cell, where he can take regular cells and like.
Or he can examine things at a molecular level.
Yeah. Well, my point being is like he can under a microscope he can take regular cells and he can see your like genes and he can basically change
the cell structure.
That would be the perfect cover as a doctor, just like a normal doctor. He would be the best doctor possible.
So he can make basically a genetic copy of your gene structure, and then he can be like, oh, well, here's the quirk gene. I'm just gonna, and just place it into say Nomu's, and it's like, okay, well, here's how we do this, and so the All for One can keep his quirk selection, but also give those quirks to other people. Because also, think of it this way. Something that we've kind of completely forgotten about, or at least not talked about it since it happened. In like the first or second episode, we see the teleportation quirk that All for One used at Kamino.
From Shigaraki on 9 when he...
On Shigaraki from 9, but also when Dabi needed to get out of there, he said, okay, I'm sure we wrote it down.
Because we've talked about, like, oh, was that Shigaraki using that? Was that someone else using that? Like, what was it?
Ojiko? Because I wrote Ojiko question mark.
I don't know what that's supposed to be.
Ojiko question mark. I'm pretty sure Dabi said, Ojiko, like, get me out of, like, beam me out of here. And then he went, like, so and that wasn't All for One.
That was somewhere
and
else.
Again, All for One, they couldn't have gotten that quirk from him because he had that quirk at Kamino, and then he immediately went to Tartarus. So they had a copy of that quirk.
So the doctor is literally able to make go into your body and make genetic copies of your quirk gene.
I'm not saying that, like, that's his power. I'm saying
like that's something
he has the ability to copy.
He can do that.
Quirks. Now, there's the possibility where it's like, oh, copying it reduces its potency. So, like, it's the same quirk, but, like, say, he copies...
If that's the case, why don't they just make a genetic copy of the stockpile quirk? Or the
All for One?
The All for One quirk.
What if they did? And that's what they're giving to Shigaraki.
Right now. That's all he would need. He wouldn't need to have any other quirk.
Think of it this way.
Just give him that.
Similarly to One for All at the beginning, if you just have the stockpile with the passing on ability, there's not really anything there. The good news is for Shigaraki is that
he doesn't have to pass it on.
He doesn't have to pass it on. He just has to go around. So if it's almost like power-ups in a video game, like in Metroid, or there's other video games, but like you go through the level with just your pew 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 pew.
But every boss you fight, you get their
like
power.
Mega Man, yeah,
exactly.
So like he adds like he can just go around and be like they had like, here's your quirk juices. We have pineapple, strawberry, fruit punch, mango.
Exactly.
Like each one is just different quirks. So they. What if? Okay.
What?
Okay.
What?
Okay.
What?
So. All right. So, the ability to copy quirks. So not only do they have All for One, which game, right there. You have Dabi's fire quirk, Toga's quirk, Compress's quirk. One person I'm not mentioning yet. Twice's quirk. Can you imagine? Maybe that's the reason why All for One never took Twice's quirks. He's like, oh, well, we already have this one ready. Now, no, never mind. I was going to say, maybe he can't take, like, heteromorphic quirks, or heterogeneous, whatever, quirks. Like, because, like, oh, regrowing a tail, whatever. But there was a guy with, like fangs or whatever, or shit like that, and he took a quirk, the fangs went away, they gave it to somebody else.
And it manifested differently.
Yeah, so I'm sure he could take Ojo's tail away, which, could you imagine?
It just shrinks inside.
Or would it just, like, fall off? Either way. Or would it stay there and it just...
It would just be dead
go
weight.
limps?
It would just be dead
Go limp,
weight.
he has to get it amputated?
Yeah.
That would be fucked.
That would be really, really
weird. So not only does he would have Scan, Ragdoll's quirk, which is busted to high hell. Thankfully, I don't think he would have the shit that Scan's seen. So he wouldn't.
It's not like a storing thing. Like every time, like on Tuesday, you'll meet this guy, you'll see his quirk, you know it on that day, and like you'll probably forget it, and it's like you see him again, it's like, oh, I know you, I forgot what you did. Oh, that's what you did.
Like-
It's not like a database.
Yeah, Scan. He has Scan. He has the same video game that All for One was playing, but he's playing on a new save file. So there's no
exactly.
data. He has to start from the beginning.
Yeah.
So he already has so many powers at his disposal. And then of course he can do what All for One does. So our only saving grace is that he does not have near the experience with this quirk that All for One does. All for One has
He's had it for
minimum 100 years,
Yeah.
150, 200 years is the range for All for One.
Yeah.
To master this quirk. We're talking mastery of a quirk that no one has ever received, ever. You know,
none of the holders of all of One for All were even able to master it.
The same way that he has. You know, his incredible lifespan with his genius thinking.
He has lived longer than
So
everyone
him being
else.
able to go, rivets, spring-like limbs, strength enhancer times 4, muscle enhancer times 5, whatever. Like his ability to, utilize quirks in that manner is something Shigaraki probably won't be able to do. So here's kind of the game plan for our heroes. First off, if possible, find him before the operation is complete. Just right then and there. In best scenario, if the operation isn't complete, the quirk doesn't work at all. Worst case scenario, even if the operation isn't complete, he still gets like a percentage of the power. It's just like weaker, or his body isn't like acclimated to it, or something like
He
that.
has to work on it.
That's the worst case scenario if they attack him early, and that puts them in an advantageous state. An undercooked Shigaraki is better than a well done Shigaraki, medium rare. So they have to hit him before it's complete. Do you focus Shigaraki or do you focus the love MILF? Like, do you focus the hospital or the mansion?
I would say the mansion. Because we still don't know who went to who. And personally, I think love went to MILF.
Yeah?
MILF is the one with all the resources, especially if they are, a massive conglomerate monopoly that has all these other companies and organizations working for them. And if they're the ones supplying the army, and they're supplying all the support items, and all the manpower and all the supplies, cut off one head, kill the Hydra, burn the stubs. Nothing else can grow back from it.
And then we're just left with, Shigaraki could potentially still be incredibly powerful.
Love by itself is bad. Each of them by themselves are bad. But I think that MILF is more dangerous than love.
Yeah.
In the long term, I think love can be a lot more
So
dangerous.
this means that
may not
Shigaraki didn't have All for One during Dayaka, or at least didn't have it awakened. Like maybe he has like the dormant version, and this is like an awakening of that. But at the very least, he couldn't use it. So that means that what we saw in Dayaka must have been a juiced decay.
He wouldn't use Trigger. I don't see him using Trigger.
I don't see
I
him.
don't see him using Trigger.
I mean, it's possible, but I don't.
Maybe.
Yeah.
I don't. Oh my god.
So
I just remembered.
they still have the quirk destroying bullets. They do. So maybe they get into position where they got like Gru. And it's like, hey, you wanna keep this guy around? You wanna keep this charade going? You're gonna do what we say, or you're gonna let us into this operation.
And you want to know who could probably be the only other guy that could make more bullets?
Probably. If they have the ability to copy quirks, what is a quirk destroying bullet aside from just Ares' quirk?
All they have to do is just reverse it. Why did the bad guys have to have the smartest guy?
So, in the heroes corner, we have 1A, 1B, the pro heroes, and Midoriya with now multiple quirks, one of which he can use very effectively with many, many ways to utilize it. In the villains corner, Love MILF, 100,000 soldiers, highly effective support items, the possibility of Gatling gun amount rounds of quirk-destroying bullets,
Gigantomachia.
no moves of any variety, including possibly a number of high ends, the possibility of a twice that's cloning himself, and a Shigaraki with a juiced decay quirk and possibly
a small city busting.
a multi-city block busting
decay quirk.
And potentially all for one.
I think the hero there numbered is.
Yeah, I feel like it's favorite. What do you guys think? I think that's gonna be where we end it.
Yeah.
Holy shit! What a fucking episode. And I'm
Yeah.
sorry if we were a little quiet to begin with. I was kind of speechless with the whole Shirakumo thing.
Yeah, that was.
Yeah. But I think that's going to be it for us. Thank you so much for watching. We've been the Custodians. I'm Rhett.
And I'm Gabe.
And that's going to be it for this episode. Plus Ultra?